Greetings, Bill Whittle. I'm Gordon Angelino, and normally I don't comment on videos like this, but I've seen quite a few of yours, and this one is worthy of a special mention. Uh, it's been informative, historically accurate, and good historical perspective, and extremely funny. I'm definitely going to disseminate it to all those who I know. However, agreement is pretty boring, so this is where the agreement portion of this video is going to end. So brace yourself, but you should have fun on this, regardless. Yeah. PJTV I've noticed a strange inconsistency in its policy beliefs, and I think that tends to stem from maybe an overestimation of the hand that we are dealt at this point in history. While wonderfully great in its advocacy of less government and more sensible government and less expensive government, good God. On the other hand, they want to push up military expenditures and you guys would like to send us on multiple adventures to places, godforsaken hellholes, quote unquote, Iraq, Afghanistan, and any other little place where some Al-Qaeda terrorist is in a little spider hole somewhere saying that he hates America. And by that standard, this will never end. This war will never end. But even if it didn't, there's no reason to be fighting it. Where are the terrorist aircraft carriers? Where are the terrorist ICBMs? Where are those wonderful little toys for tots that the Soviet Union had that we had to deal with strongly? That the terrorists have. They don't have the ability to project power outside of the Middle Eastern region, and we are rapidly gaining alternatives to energy dependence upon them. So it's not a great problem. We can fight this war in other ways that are less expensive and would give us a new energy infrastructure. So I do wonder why PJTV is for big government whenever the big government that is produced leads to explosions, but for small government when it's stupid, when it comes to resisting stupid small social programs and so forth. And of course, the actual military expenditures are not what's making the war on terror so absolutely crippling. It's the building a bridge here that gets bombed by the terrorists next week, or a school, or this or that. We've been trying to build infrastructure in Iraq for quite some time now, and the terrorists have been very assiduous in destroying it. And I'll let you in on a secret. It's easier to destroy than create. So they don't need as much energy at their command to undo everything that we're doing in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was all for Iraq and Afghanistan, don't get me wrong, back in the days when it was destroying Republican Guard formations and finding Saddam Hussein's spider hole so that we could get him to the end of his rope, so to speak. Those were good things, and we should have left the moment we had achieved them. On the other hand, of course, with Afghanistan, pushing the Taliban out of the cities and destroying most of their government would have been sufficient, and we could have left, and the world would have been skeptical, but they would have eventually loved us for it. But we're staying there, basically. It's obvious we're staying there for the oil now. It's obvious that we are there for reasons other than to keep the peace and get rid of vile dictators and crazy religious offshoots. Okay. We've been there too long. We could go home and we won't have so many excuses for politicians to take away civil liberties if we're not in a state of war. So let's go home. We have economic problems in the United States that are going to, the United States will not have canaille on the battlefield. This is my prediction. It will be a canaille of the budgetary process. And fighting terrorists that can't really hurt us to any really great extent is not the way to do it. Yeah, Iran might give terrorists some fissile material. They might use it for evil purposes. We were losing thousands an hour on Omaha Beach during World War II. There's limited amounts of problems that we can have from tiny little terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. And, of course, that money would be better spent on defense at home right now, and we'd spend a lot less of it, too. Right now, we have the economic problem, and the economic problem is the same one the Soviet Union had. No one wants to buy American manufacturers. The Soviet Union had a gigantic military. P.J. O'Rourke said it best himself. A giant communist system with its tanks and guns and gulag camps fell over because no one wanted to buy Bulgarian shoes or Russian vodka or, any sort of manufacturers. Good God, they were shoddy. And the same thing is happening to America. The disparity in product quality and services is not as great as it was for the Soviet Union, but it's the Japanese, even the Chinese, that portion of the Chinese economy that's free, is beating the pants off of us, and we are unwilling to take the adjustments in wages and the deflation in stride. So we have all this protectionism that's making us even more uncompetitive. I mean, this is a point in history where even the French, most hard-headed, arrogant people, at least the French government, French people in the provinces, they're great, but it's the Parisians and the French government, hard-headed, arrogant, won't, and fully in love with left-wing socialist ideas, and even they are opening up their economy. And this is at a time when we are trying to build more tariff barriers and this and that. No, we just need to become more competitive. That's all there is to it. So, we have to have a republic that has policies that are complementary to the overall goal. First, get a solvent. Because without solvency, we're not going to be able to keep printing money. We'll end up like the Weimar Germans, who got some pretty negative leadership after that. You traded in whatever sad, ineffective chancellor they had in Weimar. I think it was Bismarck, who was like 80 or 90 years old, just so old that he could barely see straight, for Adolf Hitler. Both situations were pretty bad, but definitely moving from one to the other wasn't an improvement. Rome fell because of the corruption of its people, the constant pushing of Julius Caesar, Marcus Crassus, and Pompey. Well, we already have our Marcus Crassus. We already have. We haven't had our Julius Caesar yet, but thank goodness George Bush is no Julius Caesar, but he has been dismantling the great protections that our Constitution has given us, and Barack Obama has continued those policies. Some even say that both of them are very beholden to the early European banking families. We need to fight this out. We need to rout out the corruption. We need to get our money supply correctly based on hard commodities, such as, oops, hopefully I didn't blind any of you here. This is a picture of Andrew Jackson on a half-ounce silver piece. You know what he did? He stopped the earlier version of the Federal Reserve from becoming a reality, so our republic would live. And we're going to have to do the same thing with our Federal Reserve. If we don't, nothing we do against the terrorists, not even complete victory, will matter one whit. So let's have some priorities, and let's have a group of policies espoused by PJTV and other conservative organizations that are consistent with what we can actually do at the time. Because we don't have the money to buy everything. And our time to make these decisions and be united is running out. Thank you.